All right, I think it's going. I see a blue bar moving. I want this to be the first live stream where the first minute of it isn't me
wondering if
we're in the live stream. I think we're just going to dive right in.
All right.
And let's get going. Let me introduce what's going on. I am Jeff Rubin, here with Julia Heffernan, and Julia is an emoji artist. Julia has drawn emoji for the latest season of Key & Peele. She did the ad campaign that you're seeing on billboards everywhere. She did emoji for the Washington Post. She did some mascots, and then just some emoji for fun, just fun emoji, just for her own personal gain. And she has agreed tonight to illustrate a Jeff emoji while I bother her with questions about the process.
Yes.
So this is Illustrator, and this is the thing I could never do with art. Blank page. Where do we start? Shape. I'm gonna guess the very desirable shape of my head.
The perfect oval that is your head. I'm gonna start with the head. And it's pretty straightforward.
What is the shape of my head? In reference to like other heads, because like if I'm drawing, because I'm a bad artist, everyone's getting a circle, everyone's getting an oval, but you are tailoring this photo to the actual size of my cranium.
Yeah, so since it's an emoji, it's not gonna be that specific to your head, but when I look at your face just right off the bat, I notice that you have a very nice chin, and it's a good shape. And I think that that's going to be the strongest part of your face. And like most of
I'm loving this so far. This is great.
The top part of your head's mostly going to be covered by hair, so I'm not going to worry about that.
That's accurate.
So I'm going to add some points, like sort of guess where I'm going to move your chin in a little bit. I'm going to add some ears because those give me like a good landmark.
Let's go back a sec. What are you doing here? Because you're not drawing the outline of my ear. You just use like 3 magic lines to make my ear. What was that about?
So this is vector illustration, which means that you're using these anchor points. So it's not freehand drawing. You have what you use is a pen, and each time you put a dot down, you can move these little, I think they're called bevels. And that sort of dictates the direction the line's gonna go. And then see, I'll put another point and I can like make it turn however I want.
Ooh, that's better than just drawing the ear?
For emojis it is. Also the benefit of vector is that you can scale it infinitely either way.
Gotcha.
And it won't lose any of it.
Why is it better for emojis?
I think that it's just the emoji feel. Like if you were doing it by hand, you wouldn't get that smooth, like really cartoony feel that you get with the iOS emojis, which is what most people are looking for. So I start out it's kind of like working with construction paper where you're like cutting it out. Like I'm just doing these pretty rough anchor points right now as the basis, and then we'll smooth it out.
Gotcha. This is already pretty good.
You want to stop? Should we?
I feel like it's recognizably me. Is that wrong? Am I being?
Well, I think that your hair is very recognizable.
This is the best interview. I should have jumped into video interviews a long time ago. What is different about emojis from the fine arts?
Well, I think vector drawing is pretty different.
But vector drawing's not specific to emojis, right?
No, there's a lot
like logos you might do it.
Yeah, I think it feels more designy to people that do freehand drawing. I can't like draw freehand on the computer. I've tried and I just can't do it.
It seems like writing a script is to writing a comic, like drawing a picture is to drawing an emoji. Even though it seems simpler and there's less moving parts, it's actually very difficult because you have to simplify, and simplification is very difficult, and you have to figure out what are the key elements of any portrait of Jeff. I see now it is hair sticking out in the wrong direction is what currently what I'm learning. But is that right? Like, is it about the simplification?
Yeah, I think especially for emojis, because you're working at 80 by 80 pixels. This is larger, but we're also zoomed in 400%, and this is how big it is. So it's pretty small. And when you're looking at something that's small, it has to be as simple as possible. Otherwise, you're just going to lose things. And that's probably the biggest feedback I get whenever I'm doing emojis for clients is like, we just need to make it simpler. Okay, I'm going to do something that's not just like drawing from scratch because I have all these things that I've already drawn.
So this is oh my God. We are really getting a look inside the world of Julia here.
So these are a little bit more complicated. I wouldn't use those for emojis, but those are like for other illustrations I do. And these are the classic emoji eyes, these bottom ones. And then if like to make it a little bit more personalized, we use these ones. But I think for yours, we'll do the classic.
Yeah,
like
I
very
love it.
cartoony eyes.
Now what's going on here? That's my glasses, maybe?
Yeah, I'm working on your glasses shape right now. I've drawn a few glasses, so I like know the basic shape I'm looking for.
Give me the Williamsburg.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. You gotta like see it like curves a little bit at the top and then like tapers in at the bottom, and we're gonna do like a little bit of a wing over here. But glasses too, you can't make them too complicated because they're gonna be very tiny.
What is the emoji that you use the most in your day-to-day life?
The face that's like this.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So the inside of the glasses, I like to do a little gradient to like get a little bit of a shine.
Are there any emojis in the emojiverse, in our existing emojiverse, that have glasses? I don't think they do.
There are a pair of glasses.
There's a
but I
pair
think
of
that's
glasses.
it. Yeah, I think that's like one of those big ones on Twitter that people want, like a redhead one and also one with glasses.
They want a redhead one? Mm-hmm. What emojis do you want?
Taco.
Taco? There's no taco emoji? Yeah, that's crazy. There should be a taco. Let me quickly point out that you are doing all this with the trackpad, not a mouse, not a pen, not a Cintiq. This is on the trackpad. Is that just how you learned? That seems unusual.
I don't think it's really the right way to do it, or possibly the most efficient way, but it's
just what you do?
how I learned to do it, and now it's the way I'm fastest at it.
I'm getting a kind of a South Park-y vibe. Is that, do you see South Park and you see emojis in South Park?
I don't see emojis in South Park, but I think that because these look so much like construction paper cutouts before you do the Photoshop stuff, that it really does look like South Park.
Ooh, there's gonna be Photoshop stuff. So,
Yeah.
so we're, okay.
So we build it, and it looks just like these little cutouts here, and then we'll bring it to Photoshop and give it that nice round feeling.
Are my eyes really that low in my head? I'm like
No, we're still adjusting the face.
I'm looking at the face, and I'm like, I'm actually looking into camera now to see if my eye,
If it
like where
matches
my
up?
eyes go in comparison to my ears.
Well, right now, the emoji head is much rounder than your actual face, which we do keep it a little more round so that it fits better into a square, which emojis are a square. So if it were like really narrow, it would look weird.
Right.
But it is sort of a pet peeve of mine when I get hired to do emojis that aren't really emojis. People are pretty fast and loose with the term.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. What is an emoji that's not an emoji? Is that like when you get a pizza, but it's just like cheesy bread, and you're like, I guess that's basically pizza. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Because it's like, unless it's being used in a text message on your phone in line, it's not an emoji.
Right. Which you can't really do with this. You know,
No.
like I can send this image to someone.
You can
I'm
use
gonna
it.
send this image to everyone, but it's not like I can't insert it into the keyboard. You can't do custom emoji.
The closest they've allowed so far is the stickers, which there is a Key and Peel keyboard now that has like the stickers that you can send that I made.
Oh, that's cool.
And stickers, the difference is just that that's a picture attachment versus a
like another letter.
inline,
Like the emojis are effectively letters as far as the
they're
computer is
hard coded
concerned.
into the phone.
Right.
And that's why it like takes them so long to get different ones.
So how much difference is there? And I'm kind of putting you on the spot by making you stream this online and recording it and standing over you and peppering you with questions while you draw. But, if you were to now draw someone else, let's say you were to draw a Pat emoji, like how different is the Pat emoji? Like, what would you erase to, if I was like, never mind, let's do Pat, what would you erase here to switch over to Pat mode?
The glasses.
Okay, Pat doesn't work.
But I think the hair is probably the biggest. And sometimes people have like different shaped eyes or like a very specific smile. Like if I were gonna do Amir Blumenfeld, it would like have to have the full teeth in the smile because he has such a big smile. So that would be like his big one. And then Pat, probably his eyebrows are pretty expressive. But really when I'm like looking at someone, I have to pick out one sort of feature that's their main one. And I think yours is your
My
hair.
handsomeness.
Yeah, just like how overall dreamy you are.
What was the actual answer before I spoke over you?
The hair.
Cool, that's interesting. Have you done an emoji self-portrait yet?
I actually have not.
Would you know? What do you think your one thing would be?
I think my hair, and I'd probably also make myself like kind of giving a side eye to someone.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that's like how I draw myself in watercolor a lot.
What did your parents, who keep in mind may be watching this live stream,
Most likely are.
say when you said, I want to be an emoji artist?
They were 100% supportive.
That's so nice, because that is a totally made-up profession that no one else on Earth has.
Yeah, they think it's awesome.
When did you realize, so I think it's very clever of you to recognize, like, oh, this is a thing that people are into, you know, it's like an emerging field, to recognize this emerging field and then attack it. When did you realize, like, I think I could make this my thing, like, this could be my shtick?
I think when GroupMe was like, yeah, we'll use these. And I was like, oh my god, really?
Because on the GroupMe, they really are emoji. They're like in the
they
system.
like built their own keyboard for it, and those are the only real emojis I've ever done.
The barf emoji you did for GroupMe is my wish to get into the general Apple one. I wish I could send a barf emoji. It's basically the opposite of a thumbs up emoji. Thumbs up emoji, I approve. Barf emoji, like, no thank you.
The first version I did of that, they said it was way too much barf.
How did you figure any of this out? Because there's no, like, rule book for, like, how to draw emoji. Like, was this just trial and error?
Yeah, I really didn't know much about Photoshop beforehand, and one of my friends really helped me out with figuring out layer styles and stuff. And then it was sort of just trial and error. And I got a lot of clients that are like, we want these to look as close to apples as possible. So then I just really had to figure out how Apple was doing it. I mean, I don't know that I'm doing it, but I can pretty much mimic it now.
This, I feel like, when you zoom in and out, I see it at the beginning of, like, a Looney Tunes, like, well, and then it's a cartoon starring me. So I'm having a blast here.
Yeah, I think we're feeling pretty good. Might make these a little smaller.
Is that because my eyes are smaller?
Yes, your eyes are a little bit narrower than these cartoon ones, but I also didn't resize them just from this.
I gotta tell you, Julia, I feel great about the positive feedback. I'm not great at the negative feedback on my looks. I'm not really taking that very well.
I don't think narrow eyes are a bad thing.
Oh, okay, never mind then. That's pretty good.
I feel like good about this. Do you want any like beard, any stubble?
Oh, a little stubble would be good. And can I put this out there? What I feel like my trademark feature is?
Yeah.
It's the dimples.
I was just gonna add
It's the dimples. It's the dimples. That's the Jeff Rubin trademark. You know, when I'm like really ready for game time, boom,
Dimples
I hit the dimples.
Well, also with a big smile, you gotta have the dimples in there.
Yeah, totally. I am so self-conscious of the fact I just had to like brag about my dimples in front of the 11 people watching. But you know, I mean, they're
there.
Look,
listen, everyone knows.
I can't deny them. You know, they're here. You're gonna have to deal with them and acknowledge them.
Everyone knows their best feature.
Is that true?
I think so. All right, well, let's do some, we'll give you a 5 o'clock shadow and you can decide if you want that or not.
Were you, when you were in grade school, were you always doodling?
Yeah, I did draw a lot, and I think I drew, like, faces a lot, which is interesting to me. Like, I feel like my biggest strength as an artist has always been showing emotions.
I really enjoyed doodling, even though I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
So I've just always been envious of people with artistic skill. Not for the artistic skill, only because
there's something to do.
There's something to do in a boring social studies class. Did you do that a lot?
Oh yeah, I definitely drew a lot. I do like a lot of like robots and monsters and.
Oh, I deal exclusively in monsters when I draw. It's the only thing I know how to draw
Well,
is
those are
monsters.
so fun because you can draw like any shape and then pretty much turn it into a monster. Okay, now I'm gonna resize it. I think that if we do it at 200 by 200, that would
Let's say life size.
Yeah, okay.
Did you ever take a class in any of this? I mean, you went to school for art, but any of the stuff you're showing us tonight, is that anything you ever learned in school?
I took a class, and we had like 2 classes on Illustrator, but it wasn't like specifically an Illustrator class. It was a character design class, and they were just like showing you an option. I wasn't actually in the art program at NYU, so I didn't have to take like all of the intro classes that everyone else did, which I think where most people get their base for this stuff.
So did you just like keep whacking away at Photoshop and Illustrator? Did you figure out a method that worked for you?
Yeah, it was like anytime I had a project, I would just figure out how I could do that project.
Well, it does seem like I feel captured. Mm-hmm. I do feel captured. I feel like this has a bit of my soul in it.
I think it's looking pretty good. I mean, it's not exact, but we also want it to look like an emoji, you know?
Right. So you're serving 2 masters here.
Yeah.
The Jeff Rubin chiseled face as well as sort of the emoji aesthetic. Boy, the time on the camera is flashing. I wonder what that means. The red recording dot's on, so we're going.
We don't know if we're online. We don't know if the camera's
I think we
recording.
might be online because I'm now seeing, I believe, 7 viewers. And I should say to those 7 viewers, and maybe I'll throw this up here. Actually, I think I can do this. That we'll do Q&A at the end. Let's say that. Check this out. I put a little bubble up there.
Oh,
We're gonna do
that's fun.
Q&A at the end. if we are in fact broadcasting this live, and anyone is watching, and they make it to the end, we will take their questions.
It's probably all my family members.